Now, everything old is new again. America's entertainment pop culture talk show with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Welcome to Everything Old is New Again. This is Douglas Viviani. I'm here with the unparalleled David Cohen.
Good evening, Doug.
It's good to see you.
I love that Gigantor theme.
Isn't that great? I love it. I had to start our show about TV robots with that theme. It's a robot for sure. And with the upcoming Terminator movie, Humans, which is an 8-part miniseries on AMC that started in June. And of course, Ultron, the ultimate robot villain today. We can't ignore robots any longer.
No, we've been ignoring them.
Correct.
We cannot any longer.
Listen, there's a MARS Exploration Rover program that's a real-life example of what's going on, and we're ignoring it. We are ignoring it. No one. Do you ever hear any news about what the robots are doing on Mars?
No.
They could be planting seeds of knowledge for years to come, and we have no idea.
Right. They could be making incredible music that we can all be dancing to, and we have no idea that they're doing it.
Exactly. We're going to explore in these two shows, this and next week's show, the inner workings of robots and in our entertainment field as well as real life to see if artificial intelligence is a friend or foe. How do you like that?
I like that.
All right. Well,
Did you rehearse that?
No, I didn't.
It sounded very natural.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. Trying to take some advice.
You weren't using cliches?
No.
Friend or foe, I think, is pretty fresh. Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
Well, I am not an
You're kind of robotic.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to imitate. We may have a visitation from a robot later on in the show as well. That's important. But before we do that, we want to talk about and think about robots. And I want to ask you a question. Do you think robots are something that have come about, let's just say, with the 20th century, with the advance of technology?
Repeat the question? Was there a question in there?
Yeah,
Sorry.
I mean, the idea of robots and robots in fiction and in entertainment, how you think it's been around for a long time or just recently because of, the technology being advanced recently?
I have a feeling it's been around for a long time, and you're going to go back to the very beginning of when it became part of the vernacular.
I will, because the Greek god of craftsmen created a bronze man called Talos that defended the island of Crete, and that god's name is, I can't pronounce it, Hephaestus. Pronounce that for me, would you?
Hephaestus.
There you go.
I'm guessing.
Now, well, it's better than Also, the Greek philosopher Aristotle, in his work called Politics, in 322 BC, said that someday automations would someday bring about and end slavery. And that goes way back when.
That is way back when. Our BC is way back when.
I agree.
Thank you.
More action, please.
I think the robot from Lost in Space is sort of on your side here. Wants me to move along. More action. Bro.
Yes.
All right. I want to talk about Leonardo da Vinci in 1495. He drew up plans for a knight in armor in 1533. I won't read the name of these people. We don't know them, but some guy created an iron eagle automation, they called it, that could fly. In 1737, some guy, his name is, pronounce that one, Jacques de Vaucanson.
Jacques de Vaucanson.
There you go. Created a disgusting duck.
A digesting duck.
Oh, you're right.
What you wrote.
I should have had you read that too. Was able to flap its wings, eat grain, digest it, and excrete it. Why? What would that be all about? I have no idea.
But to make a very long story short, robots have been around a while.
What?
Correct.
Okay.
Quack.
Sorry, I stepped on.
Quack. What? A quack.
You are a quack.
So I was basically.
You don't need me anymore, Doug. You've got sound clips to take over my responses.
Got the robot from Lost in Space actually taking cues and saying things that I want him to say when he's saying it. He called me a quack there for the comedy. I think that's good. He's got a little sense of humor. Maybe I will replace you later on in the show with a robot. We'll have to see about that. But first, what was the first representation in 1927, you should know this, of robots in our entertainment. It was a movie.
I should know this.
You should know this. You see this all the
1927.
time. Fritz Lang's Metropolis. There's a humanoid. That woman. I don't know if if you see the picture, it's hard to describe it. She looks like 3CPO. What is that
From Star Wars?
Yeah, she's like the original of
Okay.
that. All right, let's move on. We've got. Let's
Really?
talk-
Let's stay in the 20s. That's so interesting.
It's better than going back to 322 BC.
That's slightly.
How about 1942? Let's talk about Isaac Asimov created some rules for robots.
The first law is as follows. A robot may not harm a human being or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. Number 2, a robot must obey orders given it by qualified personnel unless those orders violate rule number 1. In other words, a robot can't be ordered to kill a human being. Rule number 3, a robot must protect its own existence unless that violates rules 1 or 2. A robot must cheerfully go into self-destruction if it is in order to follow an order or to save a human life.
And
It sounds like he's reading from the Talmud. Yeah, then the robot must go. He cannot
it's like
kill somebody.
Rule number 4, and whoever is discussing the robot rules must say it in the
Robot.
most boring, disgusting.
He called them robots.
He did so. He's one that's I met, by the way. Back
You met him?
1973, if you remember, we did a show on, well, not in 73, but in 73,
Oh, we
I went
haven't
to a
been on the air
Star
that
Trek
long.
convention, and we did a show on Star Trek conventions, and he was speaking with Leonard Nimoy, if you remember, and I
Really?
taped it. Go back to listen to that on everythingoldisnewagain.biz, the podcast. You can hear me taping Isaac Asimov talking
I don't
about
even remember
Star
that.
Trek.
And we played it on the show?
Absolutely, yes. It was hard to hear. You had made a comment. It was hard to hear.
No
This
wonder.
was not hard to hear, though, in 2001 Space Odyssey.
Open the pod bay
Ow.
doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
What are you talking about, Hal?
This mission is too important for me to allow you to jeopardize it.
I don't know what you're talking about, Hal.
I know that you and Frank were planning to disconnect me, and I'm afraid that's something I cannot allow to happen.
Hal, I won't argue with you anymore. Open the doors.
Dave, this conversation can serve no purpose anymore. Goodbye.
Such a pleasant voice.
I know.
Presenting such an eerie and dangerous presentation of
Right.
the violation of the rules presented by Isaac Asimov in 1942 in his work called I, Robot. Robots are not supposed to do stuff like that. Do you remember that movie?
But wasn't Hal from 2001 Space Odyssey?
Yes. Do you remember him? Do you remember that scene when
Yeah.
he basically was shutting this guy out?
Yes.
He was going to die.
You said iRobot.
Well, I, Robot was Isaac Asimov's work.
Right.
From 1942, where the rules came from, and Hal's breaking the rules.
I see. Okay,
right now
I'm with you.
in that clip. So I think it's interesting to see that Hollywood then took a turn where this became high drama and breaking these rules that were presented and made by Isaac Asimov. All a fiction of all of this is all fiction.
Robots.
The robots. By the way, just for the heck of it, in 1997, IBM's Deep Blue computer defeated the world chess champion Garry Kasparov in chess. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And do you think even to this day you could defeat a robot or an artificial intelligence in chess?
No.
I don't think you can.
I don't
either.
even think I could beat you.
All right, well, we're going to see. We're going to come back, and I think we're going to program. I've got a little surprise for you. I've got a Dave robot that's going to participate in the show shortly. Be right back. There's that theme song that you love so much, Dave. What do you have to say? Why am I playing that theme song?
Well, because we're doing robots. Of course, I know why you're playing a theme
Leading
song.
up, we haven't even mentioned him. He mentioned he himself a few times. We haven't really gotten into the Lost in
Great.
Space.
So we're going to hear that even more.
Possibly.
Awesome.
Is there another robot that you want to talk about that was on TV that you think should be involved in this discussion?
Well, do you remember the, I forget what it was called, 2000 space science fiction theater?
Oh,
where-
yeah,
where they had the-
3000.
3000, where they had a human and then a couple of robots sitting in front of a TV screen and sort of doing the dialogue.
All right,
of the
I think
movie.
we could get a visit from them. That's from Science. Let me get it straight.
Science Fiction
Theater
Theater.
3000.
Right.
And I think those guys are Tom Servo and
Yes, right.
what's the name of the other
Good.
guy? Crow T.
Yes,
Yes,
that's right.
They would sit and watch movies. Oh boy, we're out. What am I out? What am I talking about?
No, you don't have to cut me off yet.
Yeah, I'm losing.
You got time to cut me off.
But they would sit and watch movies. It was so great, and they would just make comments.
Yeah, they would make comments during the movies, or they would do the dialogue. Right.
And they were hysterical, but really they weren't really.
They copied Woody Allen. I just want to put that out there.
What's Up, Tiger Lily?
What's Up, Tiger Lily? Yes.
How do you like that? I knew that off the top of my head.
That's very good.
Thank you. I saw that with my brother. It was one of those things when you go see a movie with someone that's unique and a good experience. I think you always remember that, and to me, I always remember who I went to the movie with, which is bizarre. I remember seeing that on a Sunday night with my brother. We loved it.
You always go to the movie with your brother, though, right? So it's
That's
pretty
an
easy to
answer.
remember.
Yeah.
I was with who was it? Have you and I ever been to a movie together?
Yes, we saw Apocalypse Now.
Right.
We'll be back.
And another one. We'll talk.
You're listening to Everything Old is New Again, America's entertainment pop culture talk show with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Now go away, Nini, go away.
It's all your fault, you computerized cud!
Baloney. In my opinion, it is not Professor Robinson who needs psychiatric treatment. It is his doctor.
Just you wait, you deplorable dummy.
One of these days, I'm going to forget all my built-in protective circuits and
There he is. B9 is what his name was, the robot from Lost in Space, and his adversary certainly was Dr. Smith. There's a cantankerous relationship between the two. In along those lines...
I don't believe cantankerous is the right word to use there, Doug.
Oh, okay. Why don't you wait till I introduce you? All right, hold on one second. Wait till I introduce you. That actually is my new guest host. He doesn't know all the odds and ends of the radio show yet. His name is DGC. We're going to say short for David G. Cohen. He is my new guest host, and he is a robot. Is that correct?
That is correct, Douglas.
All right. You're much along the lines of Jaime from Get Smart, if you remember that gentleman.
I do.
Well, what's the matter now?
Our first fight.
Look, honey, I'm sorry I raised my voice. I know you've been under a big strain for the past 2 days.
A lot you care.
I do care.
Then why don't you ever tell me?
I care.
That's not the way to say it.
All right, so there we have a robot being used in comedy on television. So we want to focus on robots now. Let's talk robots in television. What do you think, DGC?
First of all, that clip was not very humorous, Douglas. You were using it as an example of robots being funny. However, I don't think that was a good example.
I agree on some level, but there's only so many you can pull up. But I now think that I need to use this clip to try to help me out a little bit.
Does not compute. Does not compute. Danger, Will Robinson, danger.
Now that is the Lost in Space robot. Does that, when he says danger, and you hear that the presentation, is there something in your memory banks of Lost in Space and that robot? Does it hold any kind of a, what would you say, a warm heart in your warm place in your heart?
I don't understand.
Because you don't have a heart.
That is correct, Douglas.
Do you know what the Will Robinson quote is there? Danger, Will Robinson. Have you been programmed to know anything about pop culture?
Was that another attempt at robot humor?
Maybe there is no such thing. Have you been programmed for humor?
I have not, Douglas.
Interesting. Why you would be programmed not to have any humor whatsoever and be a co-host of this show and replacing a gentleman who does have a sense of humor is odd to me.
I believe you reprogrammed me, Douglas.
Well, I may have to do that for the second part of this this show, reprogram some things and correct a little something.
I'm here to correct all your errors.
Interesting. Well, let's hear what Jonathan Harris, who is the actor that played...
That is correct.
Who did he play?
Dr. Smith.
On Lost in Space, correct. He explains his relationship with the robot quite succinctly.
I decided he was my alter ego, and he was wise to me and a danger to me. Always calling in those dreadful alliteratives to keep him down so he wouldn't expose me.
You computerized cloud!
Bubble-headed booby.
Jabbering Judas! Bumbling bird brain!
Neanderthal ninny.
Tackling cars! Mental midget! Blithering bumpkin!
cackling cacophony comes to mind. Oh, that was a good one.
How would you like to be called those names? Does that mean anything to you if you get called those names?
The only thing that means to me, Douglas, is it is a clip that you have now reused several times over several shows that you've done here on Everything Old is New Again. There's nothing new or fresh about that clip.
Interesting. Well, the new and fresh part of that clip is that was Jonathan Harris in the beginning, out of character, being interviewed and discussing why he did all of those little names, why he called them all those names. And now I'm beginning to identify with him a little bit more and his character, Dr. Smith, trying to interact with a robot. I can see how difficult it can be.
Yes, that is your validation for why that clip is new and fresh. Got it.
Now, I met Jonathan Harris in a convention in the...
Robot shutting down. Shutting
in
down.
the 1980s. And he was a character and a half, I'll tell you that. But one thing he couldn't match up to...
How is he a character and a half?
I'll explain that later on.
He was more than one character.
He was more than one character.
But less than two characters.
If you stay tuned to this show, you'll listen to another character that he performed as a robot. Later on in the show, I'll explain that to you. But first, I want to talk about Robbie the Robot versus B9. You'll have to listen to this clip first, and then we'll discuss this in a little more detail. Something from Lost in Space.
You are obviously of a very primitive design. From now on, I will serve the Robinsons. In all ways, I am superior to you.
Your efforts will be denied by me. I am very strong. I can stop you.
I am armed not only with superior mental powers, but superior weapons as well. There can be no fight between us. It would not be a contest. You need a small demonstration of my powers.
Now that's round one of the battle between Robbie the Robot from Forbidden Planet and B9, which is the robot from Lost in Space, and that's on Lost in Space. I don't know, are you familiar with Robbie the Robot?
Robbie the Robot was reused by MGM in The Invisible Boy in 1957. He also made appearances in My Little Margie, The Thin Man,
Yes.
Columbo, The Addams Family, Lost in Space, Twilight Zone, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., Gremlins, also a feature in a 2006 TV commercial for AT&T. Robbie, need more oil in my voice box, Doug.
Oh, we'll fix that.
Robbie the Robot was inducted into the Robot Hall of Fame in 2004.
I think he was also in Mork and Mindy. There's some infallibility there going on. Or some
I am infallible.
Yes.
You meant to say fallibility, Douglas.
That's correct. So now there's a problem because you've made a mistake, but you don't think you can make mistakes.
I never said that.
Interesting, but you're infallible, but that was a fallibly read and presented piece of information.
All I can say to that, Douglas, is you created me.
And you're very much like your creator, if you will. Do you think that Robbie the Robot, which was around so much, is the Babe Ruth of TV robots?
Sure.
Why
not? Douglas?
You do think so? What does B9 think about that?
Baloney.
There you go. So there's going to be some battle down the line of that. I don't know. Are you familiar as a robot with human emotions?
I understand what they are, yes.
Yes. Do you have any emotions?
I have none, Douglas.
Do you have any artificial intelligence?
All my intelligence is artificial,
Okay,
Douglas.
Interesting. And what is artificial intelligence? That's
intelligence that is artificial.
So how is did I program all of these facts and figures into your cranium?
You did, Douglas.
Interesting. Okay. And continue to say
this
my name.
experiment is going totally awry, isn't it, Douglas?
Well, I thought that having a robot would be, as a co-host, would be easier than dealing with a human with the foibles and difficulties that you have with human interaction. But I think human interaction with a robot could be even more difficult than human-human interaction.
I understand.
Interesting. Have you ever spoken with Siri or that artificial intelligence from an iPhone?
We dated about 6 months ago.
Oh, you broke up?
She broke up with me.
Why is that?
Because I'm your creation, Douglas.
And no matter what What I do, the creation is going to be another amplification of your own personality. So it's going to take you quite some time to find another young lady, if that's any indication.
That is a sad story to hear, Douglas.
Well, it's going to be sad for you because you're going to have to live it as my progeny.
Why did you create me, Douglas?
Because I could not find a woman for such a long time. I had to, I had a lot of free time.
Let's not go there.
All right, I just want to get a little help here from the robot, please. Nope, that's a Forbidden Planet theme. What do you think of that? Electronic music. Do you remember that movie?
Quite enjoyable. Quite enjoyable.
We'll be back, and everything old is new again in a couple of seconds. I just want to take us out with the Forbidden Planet theme from 1956 that introduced Robbie the Robot to us, and everything old is new again. Say, Charlie, why the arm in the sling?
Yeah, I walked straight into that busted street sign in front of Frank's Automat.
Well, you must have been really sore at him.
You said it, pal. I said, say, what's a big idea making a fella trip out there? I was gonna sock him right in the kisser.
He's all wet. Why, you ought to sue him, Charlie.
I have half a mind to do just that. But where am I gonna get that kind of dough?
Say, I know a fella just got me out of a big jam, and he didn't break the bank.
You don't say.
Yeah, the law office of Douglas Viviani.
The law office of Douglas Viviani?
That's right, the law office of Douglas Viviani.
Viviani.
That's what I said, Viviani.
He a straight shooter?
He's a cat's meow.
He's on the up and up?
Doug's ace is with me.
Is that so?
He's a bee's knees.
Well, that's just swell. You have his number?
You can call him at 631-681-1910 or email him at vivianilaw.com.
Wait, what was that last part?
What, email?
Yeah, what's email?
vivianilaw.com.
Now, back to America's entertainment pop culture talk show. Everything old is new again with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Welcome. This is Davros from Doctor Who. And you are listening to Everything Old is New Again. With Douglas Viviani and David Cohen. Be very afraid.
Nice. We should be afraid that I had that robot in here the last segment. It was a little argumentative and not as amenable as I thought he would be. So I've reprogrammed this computer just as that's Terry Malloy that just introduced us from Davros, or is Davros from Doctor Who, the creator of the Daleks, who are quite the villain in Doctor Who. So I'll say this will be DC instead of GC. DC, are you now feeling a little more happy about being on the show?
Oh, Doug, every minute I spend with you is just sheer happiness.
Wow. Okay.
I mean that.
A little over the top, but I got to see if I can reprogram this a little bit. But that's really a better start than we had last time. So
I'm so happy to hear that you're happy with me, Doug.
There we go. Well, let's listen to a little clip as we are wont to do on this show.
By the way, your clips are great.
Oh, they pertain just to the topic at hand, and they put a smile on your face.
Yes, they really tickle my defibrillators.
Very nice. Oh, that's perfect. That's great to hear. Well, let's sit back and listen to a clip from Doctor Who. Those robots called the Daleks.
It's my ultimate victory, Doctor. The destruction of reality itself.
Now, I mean, these robots are pretty significantly dangerous, and they want to destroy all of reality. All of reality.
Terrifying.
Think about that.
It's terrifying. And Doug, that was so great. Just a perfect robot, if you will.
I like that saying. Yeah,
if you will,
program that into you. Yes,
if you will, to demonstrate the theme of this part of the show,
which is
perfect.
What's that? We haven't gotten to that yet. But I'm curious to see if you know the theme that we're getting to here. The evil robot theme.
Yeah, if robots will become or can become sentient beings.
Okay. Now the question I have, though, it's a little illogical. If you want to destroy all of reality, wouldn't you as a robot also be destroyed as
that
part of that?
That is so
reality?
not illogical, Doug. That is so logical. First, let me say.
Really?
And what was the question?
See, I also programmed to have the same attributes as Dave did. So there are times that I'll say something and you just really didn't listen to the preface to it at all. So
I'm
led
happy
to the wrong answer.
to be pleasing you, Doug.
Let's listen to a gentleman called a Cylon. You know what they are?
Oh, I do, and excellent choice again, Doug.
Oh, thank you. This is from the Battlestar Galactica series in the 1970s.
By order of the Imperious leader through his commander, Baltar, you are to disengage at once and move with all dispatch to Gamorre to save our Imperious leader. By your command.
Is that voice reminiscent to you? You familiar
There is
with
no
that
voice
actor?
that is more reminiscent to me of that actor.
And who is that?
Jonathan Harris.
Interesting. Okay, now Jonathan Harris was Dr. Smith.
Dr.
in Lost
Smith.
in- So isn't it interesting how he hated robots and had difficulties with B9 all throughout, and then in the late 70s became a robot himself on Battlestar Galactica?
I'm fascinated by how you continue to make these ironic connections. No one else can do it like you do, Doug.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Now, again, Jonathan Harris, even there, and yourself are filled to the brim with artificial intelligence, no?
Yes.
Well, if you have so much artificial intelligence, does there come a time when you become a life form?
I hope to, Doug, if that would mean spending more time with you.
Okay. Well, I'll react to that in a moment. Let's first listen to Star Trek. And, of course, Star Trek has beings in it, one of them called Data, who's a robot. And let's see what they talk about sentient beings.
What is required for sentience?
Intelligence, self-awareness, consciousness.
Why am I sentient?
Well, you are self-aware.
Ah, that's the second of your criteria. Let's deal with the first, intelligence. Is Commander Data intelligent?
Yes.
Why am I self-aware?
Because you are conscious of your existence and actions.
Commander Data, what are you doing now?
I'm taking part in a legal hearing to determine my rights and status.
Well, it seems reasonably self-aware to me.
You see, he's met 2 of your 3 criteria for sentience, so what if he meets the 3rd? Consciousness in even the smallest degree. What is he then? I don't know. Do you?
Do you?
I don't, Doug, but I assume you have the answer.
Oh, it's an interesting question because we have so much technology these days, and it continues to grow and evolve. And now, not just talking about the entertainment field and movies and television shows that depict, artificial intelligence and robots, but now the question is there a time when a robot could be everything? It could know everything there is to know and be self-aware, and would that robot then be a sentient being, and do we even care?
It would be a sentient being, and yes, we would care, Doug.
Because then there would be a whole new race of beings that we would have created.
Yes, and then you and I can hang out.
I don't think that's ever going to happen. Yeah.
Why?
No.
Why?
Because it's like walking around with a mirror. I'm just like everything I say, a mirror that talks. Everything that I say, you're saying it's a complimentary.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah. See?
I couldn't have said that better myself.
And what if I say that my name is James?
I think that's a great name for you, Doug.
See, it's just no matter what I say, it's receiving what you want is not always as satisfying as wanting what you seek. In other words, it's better off having, I think, a human host next to me that is cantankerous and sometimes difficult to deal with, as evidenced by the first part of the show, than having a robot that just regurgitates back what I say and compliments me.
Are you saying somewhere in the middle lies reality where you would like to be?
Yeah, and boy, that's a heck of a programming job. I'd have to at least take another week before I get back to presenting a robot on this show, if not another 7 years.
I think you can do it, Doug.
I can.
If anyone can do it, you can.
Let's put it this way. I'm going to definitely take my time doing that. So it's not going to happen anytime real soon. What are some of your favorite robots, if we haven't talked about them yet, on television?
My favorite robots on television?
Yes.
Include the following.
Oh, okay. There's a list. Okay. The one from the Jetsons.
Yes.
That made them.
Harriet. Was that her name?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
I never watched the Jetsons, to tell you the truth.
And the dog.
The dog was also a robot,
yes,
correct.
Right.
What about Gigantor?
one of my favorite all-time robots.
See, now, but Giganto's a different kind of robot, because Giganto, you would use remote controls and control it.
Right.
As opposed to it thinking for itself.
Right.
See.
Almost the first video game.
Okay.
Right, Doug?
Yes, almost. A
Yes.
live video game. What about Science Fiction Theater 3000? Have any experience with that?
Yes, it is quite humorous.
All right, so I'm going to...
Do you like that show?
I did when it was on the air. I enjoyed it.
I did too.
Yes.
But now that it's off the air, you don't?
I don't. I like Joel Hodgkin, which was the originator. He's on for 5 years, but after that, the new guy, Mike Murphy, didn't do it for me.
That's a very insightful statement.
Thank you very much. I've looking forward to meeting this gentleman, Joe Hodgkins, as well. Is that his name? Hodgson? He's going to a couple.
Would you like me to look it up?
Yeah, look it up, please. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a break here and listen to the Next Generation theme, and we'll be right back. So we're back from the break here. Just want to give DC a little time to figure. Joel Hodgkin, I forget his name, Science Fiction Mysteries Theater 3000, and he's got two robots on that show that is that are hysterical, unlike the robot on this show right now.
His name is Joel Hodgson.
Hodgson.
Yes.
Okay, so he's got an upcoming...
he was in Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee.
He was.
With Seinfeld.
Wow. But after...
After.
But I'm going to say after Mystery Science Fiction Theater 3000 and before that, with Seinfeld, what has he done?
He's done a lot of stand-up comedy, Doug. You're right. He has done things.
But after he left that show, which was a hit, what did he do? He did nothing. He did stand-up comedy. He can't leave these shows that are a big hit. You're
right, Doug. Look at Harry Morgan from MASH, or
Harry Morgan's the one who replaced McLean Stevenson.
No, who was
McLean Stevenson?
McLean Stevenson.
Right.
Hello, Larry.
Right. He went down in a helicopter, and that was the last thing. His career went down with that helicopter.
Wayne Rogers.
Another one.
Trapper John.
And they didn't even get him to play himself or to play that same character. He got a different actor to play that character on the sequel.
That is very insightful, Doug. You are absolutely correct.
I do try to have a little bit of insight, yes. Once in a while, just throw stuff at me. All right, so I thank you for your time, DC. We're gonna.
Am I fired?
We're gonna pull your power pack, and we're gonna ask for the original and real, indomitable David Cohen to come on back for the last section of this show as we talk about robots for laughs. Everything old is new again.
This is Everything Old is New Again, America's entertainment pop culture talk show with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
You'll have to sit and watch them all when the monitor is mine. Because he used those special parts to make his robot friends.
That's a heck of a theme song. We did a show about theme songs on Everything Old is New Again. In fact, we did 6 shows of that. And we didn't include that one, which was quite the exposition. I'm back with David Cohen, and we are discussing robots on television. It's good to have you back, Dave.
It's good to be back, and I hope now you see how valuable I am.
Yeah, it's difficult. This artificial intelligence, I don't really believe that it does exist. I don't think we're ever going to find that artificial intelligence is as good as a human ever. I think that they make mistakes and are quite bland. Let's just...
My sensors indicate the presence of aliens.
I mean, the robot is even calling you an alien. He's all screwed up because you're now the human. You're not the alien. This B9 is all mixed up, makes a lot of mistakes.
Right.
So I don't go for it.
Well, listen, it was your choice to spend the last 20 minutes of the show with a robot. And
that I had to reprogram and just it
twice.
Had 2 distinct personalities.
Yeah. Neither one of them was remotely interesting.
Yeah, didn't add much to the show. It shows you that if you don't have the right person on the show to talk to, the show really can tank.
And we're still looking for that person.
No, I think we have a match. I think we're good. I think that the two robots were difficult. Let's talk about chemistry. Let's talk about Mystery Science Theater 3000. Tom Servo and Crow T. We've been talking about them for a while. I looked it up. I figured let's throw out a couple of clips to show you the audience, if you don't remember them in action. They were a lot of fun.
Interocitor with Volterator.
Hey, Miss Interocitor.
Here's something my wife could use in the house.
A man?
An interocitor incorporating an electron sorter. Too darn smart.
And handsome.
I may be the dumbest man who ever walked this earth, Joe.
No argument here.
There's 2,486 parts.
485, sir.
Each
So it's like sitting around
with
the
your
old
friends, making
college
fun of,
days.
right.
Yeah, it's Sunday when you're all recuperating from the night before, watching one bad movie after the next.
Yep.
And just making comments. I thought it was great. It was very creative. It was a lot of fun. I don't know why this character left after 5 years.
No, I know. The only thing I didn't like about it was it was all pre-scripted.
Interesting.
I would have liked to have heard the guy just sit there with a movie he hasn't seen before and come up with that material.
I didn't know it was pre-scripted. I didn't know the whole thing. I knew, of course, they would have some things, but nothing they say. It was all
I don't know
scripted.
that for sure,
All right.
to be totally honest, but there's when I used to watch it, there was no way they could have anticipated what was happening
Right.
without knowing
they were
beforehand
too
and having
quick.
the script. Much too quick,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
And too
like-
perfect all the time.
Right. But if you get a chance to watch that, you get a kick out of it. It's a lot
Even
of
though
fun.
I just slammed it. No, go watch it. It's a good show.
No, the first 5. I've had someone ask me, and I said, listen, if you want to buy the episodes or look at them, go first 5 seasons first. And then, it goes a little awry thereafter because you lose one of your writers and a performer, and it's not the same. But I also want to talk about robots and the robots that we have today, real robots that exist. This is one that I grew up with, and I think you did too. We had a lot of fun with.
I can be any kid on the block. Oh, yeah, yeah.
They're slugging it out. A left to the jaw, and
Oh, my block is knocked off.
it's Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Knock his block off. You're the winner. You can Rock'em Sock'em with the Rock'em Sock'em Robots by Marx.
Remember that commercial even?
It was great. I remember that. First of all, it wasn't the two kids fighting, just in case someone had never heard that before.
Right.
They were plastic, robots. So you press the little buttons and they threw punches at each other. It was great.
Right.
And
If
that
you got it
commercial-
right, you hear that sound when when the head went up. The block got knocked off.
Knock his block
Here's the thing. I always wanted that. I still want it. I have not received it yet, ever.
You never got
had it. Never had it.
Wow.
And so I'll tell you, I think Santa Claus may be bringing that to the house
for
this year.
Leo.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's about the right age. He'll be 3.5.
Yeah, that's perfect.
I mean, it's just
The only thing about that game is sometimes I found that after a while, one robot's block would come off a lot easier than the other one.
That's true.
So you don't tell, though, the other person you're playing. You just spin the game so that you've got the right robot, and it's perfect.
Because that's the one. Whoever was playing that one was winning more often
Yes,
than not. And
absolutely.
it got loose and all that. Made of plastic, totally plastic. And,
Totally plastic.
But every kid wanted to play that game, boy, at least for 5 minutes.
Yep.
And
Got
then-
your aggression out. And, yeah.
Then after a while, you got tired of it. Now, the only thing is now we're going to go from the 60s, which there weren't too many robots in real life, to the real-life robots we have now. Are you familiar with this one? I don't know if you are. Let's listen to 2 seconds of this commercial.
Roomba Robotic Floor Vac. If it's down there, we'll get it.
Have you heard of this thing?
A Roomba?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I think it's the greatest thing that
It
ever
is.
been invented.
It just vacuums your whole house by itself.
I have another one that does floors. It does hardwood and regular floors, and just goes back and
So
forth.
you have one?
Yes, not a Roomba. It's something. It's called something else for the one that I'm talking about. I don't have the carpet one, which I have to get. I think that's tremendous.
Yeah.
And do you have one?
No.
Okay.
No, but I've seen them in action. I have friends that have them, and
So that's real robot. That's the real state-of-the-art robot. That's the best we could do. We talk about all this stuff with the artificial intelligence and all these movies and TV shows and robots from Lost in Space and Robbie the Robot and all this, whatever. And we're basically at the point where we can make something that will mop or sweep a floor without us.
Right.
That's basically it.
Well, in your idea of a robot, yes. In other words, something mechanical that walks around, and but I mean, there's other robots that we use every day.
You know, we've got the Mars rovers, and they go around and dig holes in the sand and send back a picture. I mean, that's it. I'm not putting it down, but we're so far from any of this stuff that we've seen in our entertainment that, you know, I mean, all these issues.
Like an actual robot coming to your house and helping you do things, in other words.
Yeah, it's completely, I mean, although I think it's the Chinese are working, like, Japanese or Chinese, I can't recall, and that's really going to be into trouble. But I think both are really going crazy with the robots. They're making a lot of robots. They've made a robot that can play a violin. They've made robots that can serve drinks, you know, stand up and walk and serve drinks. Yeah. But again, it's real far away from something like they're presenting on Humans, which is on AMC. Just give a little piece of the pie.
The show Humans,
yes.
Who brought it into the house and we don't know anything about it?
It's a machine. I don't take orders from you.
Your pulse is elevated. You should sleep.
I helped create you.
I'm watching you.
I'm watching you too, Laura.
Humans series premiere this June, only on AMC.
Yeah, that actually is a pretty good show. Who was the gentleman that said, "I helped create you"? Do you recognize that voice?
Sounded like William Hurt.
It's William Hurt, and now here we go. We'll tie it all up to the beginning. What character did William Hurt play that is relevant, other than the character in Humans, to robots?
I don't know.
He was the original Dr. Robinson. I shouldn't say original. The latest Dr. Robinson from the Lost in Space movie.
Oh, the movie, not the TV show.
Yes.
I did not know that.
All right, so it ties it there, and he's back instead. He's dealing with more robots. And Humans is a show that actually was originally a British science fiction show. And it's only going to be on for 8 episodes, from what I understand.
Really?
Yeah.
Are they going to renew it? How's it?
It's a good question. We'll have to see. It only is marketed for the 8 episodes, which is basically what they did in England, and written by the original authors. Only created the story for 8.
Right. I think it's time. You know, everything old is new again. Right. It's time for robots.
And these robots are doing the chores, and they're overlooking the humans, and they're learning from the humans, and then they're gonna, you know, there's some surreptitious activity going on, and should we be afraid of?
I think it's going to happen. I really, in real life, I know you and I have discussed that. I think it's a matter of time.
Really, yeah. I think it's such an irrelevancy. I think it's so silly. I think it's never going to happen. I'm happy for the Roomba, but I think that's as far as we're going to go. Maybe we'll get a robot one day that'll mix a gin and tonic. Maybe, and probably not that good. Anyway, we'll be back on Everything Old is New again next week to continue our discussion of robots. We'll run back. We'll talk about them in movies. With the real David Cohen, whole show. In fact, we'll be back. There's that theme song that you love so much, young David Cohen. The final installment of Lost in Space, at least for this week. Has it replaced Star Trek as the reference point? I mean, I did reference Star Trek in this too.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it. Hopefully, it never will. Like, I'd rather hear you make references to Star Trek than to hear that theme. I really
and there's
would.
really not a lot of meaning to Lost in Space. It's hard to like Star Trek's dealt with so many issues.
Yeah.
Lost in Space is very difficult to kind of weave into all these pop culture topics.
Yet you're finding a way to do it.
I am. I've had about
just
6
by
or
playing
7.
the theme song.
Well, that Jonathan Harris too is everywhere, so you can put him on and get a lot of fun listening to him. Anyway, we'll again continue next week with robots in the movies on Everything Old is New again. We'll talk with you and see you and hear from you then.